Hi everyone, I'm Rahul from Prospecta. I am delighted to welcome you to our use case section of webinar yesterday, today, and tomorrow of data governance with Udit Pahwa from Huhtamaki. Udit Pahwa is head of information technology at Huhtamaki India, which is India's largest manufacturer of flexible packaging, catering to FMCG vertical part of the business and stretches her presence across 36 countries. Now, Udit, he's an interesting one. So, Udit is a chartered accountant by qualification and a passionate person about technology and digital transformation. He's a subject matter expert on technology applications, enterprise architecture, and business process solutions. And he has created technology visions and strategy for organizations, and has got a variety of awards that he has collated across his journey as a data enthusiast. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Udit. Udit, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Aul. Thanks for those kind words. All well at my end.
So, Udit, would
Uh,
you like to take a few minutes to tell a little bit about yourself, your career? How did you reach to Huhtamaki? What did you do before?
yeah. So in every interaction, I'm always asked a question as how does a chartered accountant land up in technology? And the journey is interesting. When I was doing my articleship, which is the training under chartered accountancy, I happened to work for a firm which also had a software application development company. And I used to see the programmers furiously type in lines of code and get out all the details of the information ledgers, etc., and do reconciliations just by giving in those few commands. Whereas as an audit clerk, it used to take me hours and days to sit down with the printouts of the ledgers and do the reconciliations. So that was the first brush where I thought of technology can do wonders for the business function. And after that, I had the opportunity of working as project member and a project lead on various IT initiatives across my couple of domain careers when I was a part of the finance and accounts team. And that rekindled the interest in technology. Uh, and then later on, after about 5 years of being in domain, doing regular bookkeeping, accounting, audit, etc., I got the opportunity to jump into IT consulting full time.
Right.
And so the next 12 years of my career was spent in IT consulting. I worked with Capgemini and Oracle Consulting and traveled to 14 different countries for work, spanning across most of the industry verticals. And then I got another opportunity to move back into industry, but in the role of a CIO, and that's when I joined Polycab Wires.
Mhm.
And after Polycab Wires, it was Huhtamaki, which gave me a call to come in and join as their heading their India IT operations. So here I am.
Wow. So it's fair to say that automation with data got you from a chartered accountancy to IT.
Yeah, you can say that.
That's amazing. Which leads to a perfect segue to our first topic of discussion: master data management and data management, data quality in general. So I would like to know about your experience and maybe get your wisdom on this. What is the importance of having data quality as a pillar in master data management in your experience?
So I think data management and quality of data is of prime importance, and specifically master data. A lot of the, I would say, processing logics in a transaction are based on the quality of master data. So if we are looking at, say, raw material forecasting, a small parameter like lead time in number of days for that item can play a very vital role. If somebody just put a wrong figure, you are ending up, kind of potentially damaging the entire logistical calculations to get that raw material as per your plan. Similarly, payment terms. payment terms on a vendor, which is a master, data, also has an impact on your cash flow planning.
Right.
So these are just two fields. So if somebody looks at it from a functional angle, these are just two fields in the various lists of master data elements of one particular type of master data. But they have the potential to disrupt your entire process or disrupt your entire functioning. So that's the importance of master data, and the quality I've already outlined. The better the quality, more is better the decision making and the MIS that comes out of it.
Right. So it seems that you're a firm believer when it comes to management of assets data, space data, vendor data. You need to have a strong hold around your data quality within your master data management domain, which brings to my second question. Most of the time, master data management, data quality, and data governance goes hand in hand. But data governance, it's not an easy thing, right? So doing passive data governance, okay, you find some mistake and then you put some rules over there so that it doesn't happen again. But putting a strategy for active data governance so that things don't happen again in future by saying foreseeing the future so you avoid any problems. How do you go ahead and make a strategy for a robust data governance?
It's a good question. In order to maintain quality of data, you need to have a governance and operating model around it.
Right.
And to ensure that the operating model and the governance of master data is robust enough, it begins with what should be your strategy on data. So you craft out your strategy, which will then delve into the governance and then the operations. So what constitutes data strategy? So data strategy, basically, I can say it's an approach towards the governance and management of data for the enterprise. And I would say to arrive at the strategy, there would be a few questions which the enterprise needs to ask itself. Questions like uh, what is which elements of master data are critical, which are non-critical. That's the first point. Then what is the importance of that data and how it can be leveraged in the transactions. The third is data retention. How long do you want the data to be stored and in what format it should be stored? Who is the owner of that data and who is the consumer of that data? This is very critical.
Mhm.
And I would say in terms of delivery of data, the data, how it is to be delivered to the business.
Right.
So in short, all the uh, all the operating points constitute the governance. You fix in the ownership, and this broadly turns into your data strategy. So when you define retention, when you define ownership, when you define access and visibility of data, this comes as a part of the governance as well as the strategy.
So retention, ownership, access to data quality. So, okay, so those are some really good points that I think our viewers should note that down. And if you haven't, just listen to the recording again because these are some golden words that you may want to inculcate in your strategy. So looks like Udit, if would it be fair to say that without a proper data governance strategy, you will have a recipe for a disaster for your data management?
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, in case you have incorrect master data, it has the potential to derail all your plans or your operational methods. I gave you the small example of, procurement lead time for a particular item can throw your entire raw material planning into chaotic situation. Similarly, if I come to production, if the capacity in terms of number of units or whatever is the unit of measure of the machine that you are producing an finished good out of is improperly defined, it will directly impact your order fill rate, it will directly impact your asset utilization, and it will directly impact in manufacturing what we call as OEE. So you are you may end up underutilizing your asset, or you may end up over planning, because if your capacity is defined on a higher side, you may load it more than 100%, which again, the customer delight is lost because your orders run late. So bad quality of master data definitely is a recipe for disaster, especially when you're looking at digital ways of working.
True, true. And hearing from you that it seems that you have inculcated the importance of data cleansing and data quality and data governance in your processes, and you understand the business impact of not having data governance in place. Um, and from there, I think more I think about this topic, more I think about something that we call as data culture, because I think data culture is embodied in your working. Would you like to comment a little bit on that? Like, how do you create that awareness of importance of data governance, data culture within your team, and how do you make them aware that the business impact is massive if you don't have data governance in place?
So Rahul, let me give you a small example. Uh, a lot of the, I'm sure even in software and services, you have something called as a sales forecasting, right? Where you have, I give you a firm forecast for the next month, and I give you a rolling forecast for the next quarter,
Right.
right? Now, these forecasts are basically, how are they driven? A lot of people say they are driven by gut feel. I did this much business and I expect this much business with the same customer, or I will add a new customer, etc.
Right, right.
But if you dig deeper, there are interesting data points available. And basis of those data points, you have several tools today which tell you what is going to be the potential value or quantity of a particular item or a line of items that you would be able to sell in the next month or a quarter or whatever. Now,
It's
these
not
are
like
all
gut
sales
feeling.
forecasting tools, right? How is that done? That's done by clean data. Now, imagine if you had incorrect data, you are again creating a recipe for disaster,
True.
right? So that is where the quality of data, and your question was, how do we imbibe this as a culture? As a culture, the more you give visibility to data, the better you are pushing people to recognize the importance of data and use that as a tool in daily decision making. So
Right.
visibility is the key. The
Visibility.
other aspect of bringing data based decision making, I would say, is again collaborating with, this is from the IT side, or the technology side, is look at all the, I would say, the elements for a particular business function which they consider, because everybody loves Excel, and it's a proven fact that everybody has loads of spreadsheets available with them, and they keep crunching data in that Excel to arrive at something that they are looking at to give it as an MIS or a forecast or whatever may be the case. Those are the elements where data is being used, but technology is not being used.
Right.
And since it is running in a manual mode, it
Mhm.
will be prone to human and clerical errors.
Right.
So having an open dialogue with each of these data owners, process owners, saying that, put in technology in this place and get rid of the human. When I say get rid of human, it is more from a quality, reliability, and availability perspective.
Understand.
So these I would say it forms the backbone or the foundation of building the data culture.
Right. So two very key important things that I got from this conversation is visibility and technology. So make sure the data is visible to everyone and its impact to everyone. And also make sure that you have technology available so you are not prone to human errors that are made by a lot of manual work, working on
Absolutely.
100 million rows of spreadsheet that we all love. That's
Absolutely.
great. Those are some of the great points, and I want to focus now more around your journey with Huhtamaki and your journey with data governance. I want to ask you a little bit about, did you see any challenges when you first started, and what were your thoughts on what are the steps you would put here so that you will have a proper data governance and proper flow of data quality in place?
Right. So that's a very touchy question, but so a common challenge which is faced by most of the enterprises, it's not just Huhtamaki, but everybody. I'm sure even your organization will be faced is data leadership.
Right.
Now, what is data leadership? Data leadership is a top-down approach where every decision is based on a or several data points. That's point
Mhm.
number one. And the second aspect is establishing a clear RACI matrix with respect to the master data ownership and governance. So
Mhm.
these are the two things. So if I have, a responsibility or a RACI matrix, which is put in place for all my elements of data, whether they are master or transaction, with the owner or a go-to person identified, you won the battle.
Mm.
Because then once the ownership comes in, it's only a matter of process and governance that you lay down, which needs to be followed. So the key here, I would again say, is the RACI matrix which you put in place. And if you see, as per ISACA, which is the International Society for Information Governance,
Mhm.
uh, they've clearly spelled out that ownership is the key, because the business owner decides the importance of data
Mhm.
and defines who should be accessing that data. Both
Understood.
are key elements.
Mhm. Mhm. Right, right.
And last but not the least is documentation. So documentation has to be done down to the T, which generally not just for Huhtamaki or India, but I would say on a global phenomenon, documentation is something which takes a beating.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
a firm believer of putting everything in a document so that there is something to fall back on and read through in case anybody has any doubt or clarifications, or to manage iteration. That's the best thing to have.
Yeah, and I second that with it. Documentation is something that's a knowledge resource, and it's a tangible
Absolutely.
knowledge resource that you put in your organization. So, say for example, if people to leave tomorrow, they move on to better opportunities. You still have something in place that can be used by the new people uh, to align themselves and have that ownership in data governance. So, I completely agree with you that data governance is in data governance, documentation is absolutely necessary. So, those are some great points. And Udit, as we approach to the end of this use case webinar, the last question I would like to ask you is, again, we are philosophical and technical. I'll leave that up to you. But what advice would you give to leaders like you across the globe who are in the same situation and who are embarking on data governance and digital transformation?
Well, there is Google available for a lot of advice that you are looking at.
So Google first.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but from my, if I have to speak from my experience, I think, working with your business peers to understand, stepping in their shoes, feeling their pain, and then looking at solutions which help them ease out that pain is something which becomes a key point in collaboration.
Mhm.
So that is the first and foremost thing to do. And when it comes to data, whether it is master or transaction, again, explaining the importance, the impact, good or bad, of that master as well as transaction data, and bringing out points of how it is going to benefit are the key elements that one should keep in mind. Because
Absolutely.
if you don't have these two in place, the moment you put up something like a RACI matrix and ownership and process and governance, there is going to be some amount of nerves which will get uh, tingled. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
So,
and I
so,
think
so
it's
to
it's
ease out those nerves,
yeah.
it's better to lay the foundation first and have those bridges built in.
Yeah, I think it's consistent. I think with every kind of a leadership job wherein you need to make sure that you first are very empathetic to your audience. You need to understand what are their pain points, and then dwell on those pain points and be as an enabler to solve those pain points with the skills that you bring in. And
Absolutely.
I think then you build some permanent bridges that no one can break, and everyone will follow you. So that's a really good point of it, and I'm really glad you shared that. With that, this is the end of this webinar, and I'm pretty sure my audience here as well, they're delighted to listen to your experience and gain some valuable information when it comes to data governance and data quality in master data management. So thank you so much, Udit. Thank you for
My
joining
pleasure,
us.
Rahul. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.